This rivalry is all about quality over quantity. History that runs deeper than the hatred between the two. 11 Lombardi trophies, 72 playoff wins, 64 Hall of Famers, and over 2,100 victories between the two franchises. Two titans of sport that only meet every 4 years. Yet it always seems to mean something.
Carr wins the game!
Every meeting since the turn of the millennium has been separated by only one score.
Zeke's gone, Gavazi!
Keeping the traditions of the past into this new age of football. Cowboys, Steelers, under the lights of Sunday night. From the Steel City, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Dallas Cowboys on a mission in Week 5 to steal a win from the Pittsburgh Steelers, looking to get back above 500 in prime time on Sunday Night Football. It's the Cowboys and the Steelers, the 34th all-time meeting between the two from Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh. We welcome you to Cowboys Pregame Live here from the Star in Frisco. We've got Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans, three guys who have been a part of this rivalry before. And if you can't get fired up a little extra for Cowboys, Steelers, then you're in the wrong spot. Let me tell you, but you're in the right spot for joining us here on Cowboys Pregame Live. We'll also have Nicole Hutchison and Nick Eatman joining us later in the show. We also have a special guest coming up momentarily to keep an eye on as well. It's Hall of Fame caliber. Let me just say that right off the jump. But guys, Cowboys, Steelers, 34th all-time meeting. It always seems to mean a little extra when these two get together. Nate, I'll start with you. The Cowboys, and the way that this franchise has been built on history, this matchup has all sorts of history leading up to it.
It does, man. And what we have to do here, man, is get back to our offensive line. We have to make sure that we're stable. It's about the fifth game here. It's time to start coming together. But the history of this, man, is so sweet. So I am still a hater. Yes, I am.
Still a hater.
Yeah.
I'm born and raised in Pittsburgh, so I don't hate the Steelers, but Kyle, I don't want to say this is a must-win game for the Dallas Cowboys because it's still early in the season, but it's a better win. It's a better win this type of game because you got to keep up with the Washington Commanders, who got a victory today. They're 4-1 in the division, and you got a first-place schedule, so it doesn't get any easier than it will against the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a game the Cowboys got to get a dub in.
Well, my boy BC and I don't disagree too often, but we disagree on this. This is a must-win game for the Dallas Cowboys. They need to get this dub because they are going to be going at these boys, and they are real. They are 3-1. These guys have momentum on their side. You're playing at their crib. You have to take care of business. Now, I'm not one to look back on history a lot of times, but I need Dallas to go back and get that old thing back like they used to play back in the 90s, okay? Old 90s rivalry right here, baby.
I like it.
Yeah.
Turn back the clock a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Cowboys lead the all-time series 17-16. I said it in the intro video. Last 5 meetings have been separated by only one score. And the Cowboys, of course, last time they made the trip to Pittsburgh back in 2016, it was Dak and Zeke's rookie year. Dak had a ton of yardage. They won 35-30. Zeke had over 200 yards from scrimmage. It's a different look Cowboys, though, today than it was in 2016.
A little bit.
And actually, it's a different look Cowboys team from Week 5 than it was in Week 4. Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence out today, both suffering injuries late in that game against the Giants on Thursday Night Football. And even with a mini bye, Isaiah, they still aren't ready to go. How big of a loss is this for the Cowboys?
It's major because you're playing against one of the league's more dynamic, younger quarterbacks that has the ability to not only run but also throw. So whenever you're facing these dual-threat quarterbacks, the one thing you want to make sure that you have is some defensive ends that can get after the quarterback. Because if you have D ends that can get after the quarterback, then you don't have to compromise the rest of your defense to try to elicit some form of pressure. But now you're short at that particular position, and now you're going to have to try to get some pressure somehow, some way. You're going to be either relying on some younger guys that are necessarily unproven, or you're going to be trying to get some kind of pressure by blitzing. And when you blitz, you expose your defense and you put safeties in position where they got to make some other plays.
Yeah, as a safety, you want to have your big dogs pressuring. But to me, this is a monumental loss for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, when you look at it for the Pittsburgh Steelers, there's nobody on the defense for the Dallas Cowboys that they fear. I mean, when you go into those offensive meetings, correct me if I'm wrong, Isaiah, but they circle this guy. All right, this is the guy we got to stay away from. What do we have to take out of our playbook to make sure this guy isn't a game wrecker? And that's what you have when Parsons. But when Parsons is not there, you don't have anybody that the Pittsburgh Steelers can fear out there. We need somebody to get in there and get that pass rush going. I'm just not so sure they have it right now with Parsons and D-Law being absent from this game.
You know, don't worry about the pass rush. Be disciplined versus the run. You know, I want to see this kid. So be disciplined against the run. Bring up a safety if you have to. Make them throw the ball. You don't have to worry about it.
So, Nate, let me go right back to you on this. If you're talking about all these other guys that are around these guys, they'd get paid too. These are all Cowboys that are ready for this moment. And we'll talk to Dak Prescott a little bit later on as well. He said the same thing. It's a chance for these young guys to step up. Who's under the microscope most here in Week 5?
Nealon.
Marshawn Nealon.
He's under it because they drafted him second, third round. This kid got to show up, and they're expecting a lot from him. But he's got to be disciplined and stay at that defensive end and come off that edge with some discipline versus the run and the pass.
Yeah, not only Nealon, but it's going to take everybody. All right, everybody's going to have to stay. 3 yards. You got to throw the 3 yards in there. But it's going to take everybody out there to fill the shoes that Parsons left in there. When you talk about the defense and making sure they play as a unit, like Isaiah said, it's not going to take only those guys, but Mike Zimmer as well. All right, he's going to have to get creative on this defensive side of the football to make sure he's got his players in the right position at the right time to make plays out there. And they're going to have to play flawless football. That means no penalties, no defensive holding, extending drives, no pass interference, extending drives, because you don't have that eraser in Micah Parsons to make everything okay. This team's going to have to play as a unit, and it's going to take everybody with 3 R's.
Everybody is correct, and that's in the Ebonics dictionary for those that are trying to figure out where to find that at. But check it out. Eric Kendricks is my man. Okay, circle him right in the middle of this defense. You brought him in to be the executioner of Mr. Mike Zimmer's defense. So he is that guy. When he is missing his dogs up front that help and assist him and his guys at the second level make plays, now he has to be that QB at that second level. He has to get these guys in position. You heard Big Nate talk about discipline and everybody playing sound football. Well, these guys need to know where to be. And the man that gets those guys lined up is going to be Eric Kendricks. He has to put this defense in position to be successful. That's the front guys in front of him and the guys that are behind them. If they're able to do that and play some disciplined ball, then they can go out there and have an effect on this quarterback.
Last time that Micah Parsons missed a game, Week 17 of 2021, it was due to being out because of COVID restrictions at that point in time. And that's the only game, he said, going all the way back to Pee Wee football, that he was out. He's never missed a game because of injury in his entire career. Last time DeMarcus Lawrence was out, also 2021, it was Week 12. That was also because of a lower body injury. So not having these guys is certainly something that the Cowboys haven't dealt with in quite some time. On the offensive side of the football, they got a tough break this week as well. Brandon Cooks placed on injured reserve yesterday. He's out for at least 4 games. And Isaiah, that's a huge loss for a team that's already struggling to find separation with their wide receivers. Where does this leave the offensive passing game?
You know, the key word that you said there was 4 games, not 4 weeks, because you have the bye week coming up. So not only are you missing 4 games, but you're also missing that 1 week or you're gaining that week of the bye. So he needs at least 5 weeks to get healthy is what they're communicating to you as the general public. Now understand this. You're going to be putting guys in position that have to step up. These young players, Tolbert, Turpin, Flournoy, all these guys, Jalen Brooks, all those guys are going to have to step up, and you're going to hear some names that you might be unfamiliar with outside of the preseason, because they're going to make it very difficult on CeeDee Lamb to be a guy. Even though you just gave him the bag, it still is a human being that's going to be facing 2 and 3 guys stopping him all day long. They're going to put Joey Porter Jr. up there, put hands on him at the line of scrimmage, and as big Barry Church knows, that safety, Mika Fitzpatrick, is going to be sitting over the top and saying, I got your back. Don't worry about it. Just make it hard on him to get off the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, you just named it. Tolbert, Turpin, Ferguson. All right, these are the guys that are going to have to step up and try to fill that void with Cooks, who hasn't done much this year. But when you look at the guy on the outside who's had that rapport with Dak Prescott, he's one of those guys that do so. And also, you got to mention Dak as well. This is a guy that has to lift his level of play, which he has done a great job so far this season. But he has to lift those other guys as well to make sure they play above their means. They're going to have to fill big shoes when you talk about Brandon Cooks.
It's only 2 guys I'm depending on. That's Jalen Tolbert and Jake Ferguson. Those are the 2 guys that got to step up and got to make plays. CeeDee Lamb is CeeDee Lamb. He's the mover. He's going to bring the safety. He's going to have the outside linebacker. He's going to have the number 1 corner. All of that well and fine, but what Ferguson going to do? What Jalen Tolbert going to do?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough task for that offense because they've got to find a rhythm against the defense in Pittsburgh that only allowed 26 points through their first 3 games. Now, Last week against the Colts, they gave up 27 points. So there is a way to have some success against the Pittsburgh defense. We'll talk more about that as we go along. Isaiah Stanback's got a film study. We've got plenty on this show coming your way, and including how to stop the run against Najee Harris and company. This is a team that likes to run the football. Can Dallas have back-to-back strong showings against a strong rushing attack? Then I mentioned a legend is joining the show. Mean Joe Green, one of the best to ever do it, is going to sit down with our very own Nate Newton and talk about this Cowboys-Steelers rivalry. And then out at AT&T Stadium, I know we're at the Star in Frisco, but there are fans flocking to a watch party out in Arlington. Let's check in with Jaime to see what the vibe is all about out at AT&T.
Thanks, Cal. We're live from Miller Lighthouse here at AT&T Stadium at the Dallas Cowboys watch party presented by 7-Eleven. Lots of entertainment going on here. We have the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, Rowdy and Drew Pearson, coming here in just a couple of minutes. And Cowboys Nation is already having so much fun with all of the activations that we have here. We have $5 Miller Lights, food truck options, and 7-Eleven Slurpee samples. You know, we're so ready to see the boys turn steel into star power. Back to you guys at the studio.
Awesome stuff. It really looks like things are starting to ramp up in terms of AT&T Stadium and the watch party out at the Miller Lighthouse. If you haven't gotten out there already, go ahead, head that way and have some fun if you're a part of Cowboys Nation going into this Steelers matchup. So you can be involved there. These guys, unfortunately, won't be involved for the Dallas Cowboys today. Here's your inactive list, and it is a heavy one today. Not only have we talked about the guys that are banged up, like Micah Parsons, like DeMarcus Lawrence, who's already on the injured reserve list, but Kalen Carson, who was questionable at the cornerback spot, is out today. Second straight game that he hasn't missed, or that he hasn't played for this Cowboys team, as the Cowboys will have to have Andrew Booth and/or AO, as they call him, Amani Owawari, as he had an interception late in the game last week. He's going to have to step up big. And then another notable one is Deuce Vaughn out today. No elevation from Dalvin Cook, but Deuce Vaughn is not available for the Cowboys as well. With more on that, let's go out to Acrisure Stadium. It used to be Heinz Field. I still think it is Heinz Field in my heart, at least when it comes to the Cowboys and the Steelers. Nick Eatman's on the sideline, and there's a couple of different things that we're going to talk about with Nick. We've got a little bit of a technical problem trying to get him back as we speak, and we'll go back out to Pittsburgh momentarily. But let's hear from Marshawn Kneeland, one of those guys that needs to step up for this Cowboys team, and he's definitely got the right mindset going into Week 5.
For sure. Definitely just taking that, just knowing that, it's football, injuries happen. And, I like to prepare like I'm going to play a lot anyway. So now just knowing that, I'm going to play a really good amount. It's just, it's just be playing football at the end of the day.
Micah has a lot of positive things to say about you and what you can become and what you can do. What does it mean to have a guy like that accomplish what he has, speak so highly of you?
It means a lot. Definitely, just coming from a teammate, somebody that, when I came in, he helped me out. Him and D-Law both helped me out a lot and, took me under their wing to basically help coach me up as a player. And, yeah, it just means a lot.
What have you felt comfortable doing since the season started, and what do you feel like you've kind of have to move for improvement as well?
Definitely feel comfortable knowing the plays, being out there to, make plays as I can. Definitely got to improve a little bit more on the pass rush front. That's just, for myself, I got to do that. And, yeah.
What's the biggest growth you've had so far through 4 games personally?
Just getting a feel for the game. I feel like the past game, just being able to play a decent amount, it's starting to slow down a little bit. Being able to go out there, obviously watch them too, and learn a good amount.
I was really impressed earlier in the week with Marshawn Kneeland. He's been thrust into a tough spot without Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, two of the mentors for this edge rusher class, and the way that he has handled some of that pressure throughout the week certainly shows that he's in the right mindset. But of course, all of that is hearsay and all of that is hope going into a mindset in a game like this one with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think we have Nick Eatman back on the sideline from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Nick, glad to have you back. Glad you're ready to go. Let's talk about this injury report because it's pretty vast this week. Do you remember a game of recent memory where there's been this many key starters that are missing for the Cowboys?
Well, I can't remember if there has been this many starters or not, but I know they didn't include Micah Parsons, like your best player. I know you guys talked about him earlier just how many games he's missed all the way back to his whole career. So, I mean, it may not be – I'm sure that there's been a time maybe where there's more starters that weren't here, but not to the point where it's one pass rusher and then your second best pass rusher and then another receiver and then your starting corner who's only starting because your other corner is still on injured reserve. So, yeah, it seems like there's a lot of Pro Bowls. That Arizona game, though, from a few years ago seemed like that was one of them as well.
So let's talk about the cornerback spot as Kalen Carson unavailable, second straight week that we're going to see Amani Owawarie along with Andrew Booth, maybe a sprinkle of Israel Mukuamu. Is this something that maybe is a little bit longer lingering than we initially thought whenever it comes to Carson's injury?
Well, yeah, I didn't think it was going to be a situation where it was going to be this many games. So, yeah, I think it's lingered a little bit more than we thought. Owawarie will probably play a lot. I thought he finished the game nicely the other day. Booth's going to have to step up a little bit. The thing about Booth, he struggles to me in coverage. He's pretty physical, though, as a tackler. But of course, then again, you don't want them to have to tackle a whole lot at corner. But still, Diggs has got to do his guy on one side. He's got to make sure to lock that down. And then on the other side, combination. Owawarie, Booth, Mukuamu maybe in there, then Jordan Lewis, of course, at the slot. But, yeah, they can't get Deron Bland back quick enough.
How big is it for Trayvon Diggs to be available? His name not on that injury report, even after having a questionable tag throughout the week.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, he's the one guy that, I mean, if there is such a thing as a shutdown corner, I mean, you have to put Diggs in that category. I say that because I think that, Dion was one of the last ones. It's so hard in this league to shut down receivers, but, he's a lockdown corner for sure, and you have to have him, especially because it allows you to help the other corners.
Now, let's flip things over to the edge rusher spot because not only is the secondary banged up, but so is the front seven. And we just heard from Marshawn Kneeland. It appears he has the right mindset going into the week, but how much pressure is really on him and some of these other guys that have been called up either from the practice squad or signed from other practice squads to provide some sort of pressure and edge presence against Justin Fields and the Steelers offense?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, the pressure is on all of them. To apply the pressure, I mean, the guys like Kneeland, like you said, somebody, the juice from a guy like maybe Overshown, Lawson, whoever it is, they've got to have this. They've got to have this pressure. This is where your veteran defensive coordinator, Mike Zimmer's got to have to dial up things all week long. They've known Micah's probably not going to play. It's been 10 days. They've known Tank's not going to play. They've got to get creative and figure this out. Jordan Lewis said it last week. You can't replace these guys. You have to supplement that. And so, hopefully they've dialed that up and they can do that. Guys, I'm on like one eye watch over here. Snoop Dogg's just floating around over here, so I'm thinking maybe he's going to join the show, but maybe not.
You should just go ahead and ask him. See if he can pop up there. I mean, if we've got plenty of time here.
I've
if Snoop
asked
wants to come
to go get him.
Yeah, where's he? I mean, we're just.
Hey, you guys on the set would appreciate this that way because I heard you earlier. There's a lot of people want to talk to him. I think everybody is trying to talk to Snoop Dogg here today. So we wouldn't be the first ones to bring that in. Did I get enough R's in there, Barry?
Barry, hey, right. Yeah, Barry, he's talking about that. I mean, that's something about it. Everybody wants to talk to Snoop Dogg. Appreciate you very much, Nick. We'll talk to you again later in the show. So Nick Eatman on the sideline. He was trying to grab Snoop Dogg for you. He really was. I mean, they were talking about it. We'll see.
I think we can get him on.
But he's a Steelers guy, though. He's a Pittsburgh through and through.
We got some Steelers guys on the show today.
That's true. We got me, Joe, coming up here in a little bit. Back here with Barry Church, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback. Isaiah, we wrapped up there talking about Marshawn Kneeland and the pressure that's on him. When it comes to filling in the role, is it tough to stay within your means and stay within yourself when there is that much magnitude on what you're trying to do and the void you're trying to fill?
Yeah, it's hard for a rookie, just from the standpoint of most rookies don't truly understand who they are on this particular team and what their role is yet. So we talk about Marshawn Kneeland. He has to understand exactly who he is, what type of attributes that he possesses, and how he can contribute to the success of the entire defense. You're not Micah Parsons. You don't have that speed. You don't have that bend. You don't have that agility. You don't have the size or the length of DeMarcus Lawrence. So don't try to be those guys, right? Do what you did in college. That's the reason why they drafted you. That's the reason why you're here. And that's the expectation of you. Provide what they expect out of you and be where you're supposed to be so that the guys around you can do their job as well.
Yeah, you're 1,000% correct, Isaiah. When you go out there, you got to play within yourself. You got to realize what you do best and play to your strengths. All right, like you said, they don't need you to go out there and be Michael Parsons. They need you to go out there and be Mr. Nealon. All right, that's exactly what you need to do to go out there and be that run defender, that high motor guy that came out of the MAC conference out of Western Michigan. And that's how you were able to get drafted, because you had a high motor. Use that big body, shed those blocks out there, and make plays. All right, that's what you got to do for this defense. Be yourself. Don't try to be anything above and beyond, because that's how defenses get exposed. All right, when you try to play hero ball out there, just play your responsibilities and play to the best of your abilities, no one else's.
You've watched the film and you understand the tendencies of that tackle. What you play now, all you got to do is go out and release your talent. Just play within yourself, and just play wide open. He's a high motor guy, like you say. Play wide open. They got Carl Lawson that can come in and spell you. They got Chauncey Golson can come in and spell you. So just play wide open. Be yourself and be the guy that they drafted, man, because they believe in you.
I mean, he talked about that a little bit, of the fact that his pass rush ability is not necessarily there, but he feels confident in his way to stop the run. That might be presence number one that's needed because of Justin Fields and what he can do from a mobility standpoint. So if Justin Fields is outside running with his legs, using that mobility, it challenges guys like Marshawn Nealon, Isaiah. I think he's up for something like that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think everybody's talking a lot about the running ability of Justin Fields. But the thing is, he's not using his legs that much. Like, that's not his thing. Right now, what he's proven right now to Pittsburgh in that quarterback room is that I can sit back here and I can throw this rock. And that's the confidence that he's eliciting. That's the role that he's playing right now. And if you decide to go ahead and avoid me or to disregard me, then I will remind you that I have the ability to use my legs. It's those third down situations where it's 3rd and 4, 3rd and 6, where you are so concerned about making sure that everybody's defended that you forget about him and he makes you pay. You're like, I forgot the boy can run the ball. So that's where you got to be worried about him. You may get 2 or 3 design QB run plays, but that's not how they want to utilize him in this game.
The one thing I'm a little bit worried about is because one time they faced a mobile quarterback out of the AFC. They did a good job against him. Week 1 against Cleveland, and what they had with Deshaun Watson, great. Check the box. He looked great. Not so much the next time they faced a mobile quarterback out of the AFC, and that was Lamar Jackson, and he ended up having a plenty of rushing ability. We'll see what Pittsburgh does, and I think either way, Marshawn Nealon up for the challenge. He's not the only one that needs to step up, though. And Nate, Jalen Tolbert, there's been multiple times where he's been the wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. With Brandon Cooks out, he is the unquestioned wide receiver 2 on this ball club. How much pressure is on Tolbert to get the job done today?
A lot. I mean, he worked with Dak. He had a great training camp with Dak, which is not the game, but he knows what Dak wants him. And if he go out and just do what he's supposed to do, man, catch the ball when thrown to him, he's got a lot of ability. This kid can light it up today.
Yeah, he's got another guy that has to play within himself. All right, we don't need you to go out there and think you're CeeDee Lamb. You've done a great job so far this season. You came into the season being the number 4 option. If you look at it, you got CeeDee Lamb, Cooks, Ferguson, and then it was supposed to be Tolbert. But you have surpassed those expectations, my friend. You've gone out there and you've made big time plays. So continue to do so. Have faith in yourself. Have confidence in yourself that you can go out there and if the ball's in the air, it's yours. It's not a 50-50 ball. It's more like a 75-25 ball when it comes to you. All right, go out there and make plays and play within yourself. I have a lot of respect, and I feel like Tolbert is going to go out there and do his thing.
Be a possession receiver. And what I mean when I say that is be the guy that is finding the gaps in the zone defense. We don't need you to be the guy that makes the big boy plays down the field all the time. That we need to be able to have that, but we don't need you to rely on that. Be the guy that moves the chains, okay? Let CD be the guy that takes the top off the roof. We need you to be able to convert these third downs, convert these short down and distance situations so that the chains can stay moving and then Dallas Cowboys can stay on the field because they need to win the time of possession. This is not a big play game. You cannot lose the time of possession game today because they like to win the time of possession game. We don't have the big dogs to go down the field today, so you have to be able to try to stay on the field and move these chains consistently.
I like the way you put that, and I like the way Barry outlined it too, because he is a contested catch guy and a possession guy. If you can merge those two things, it works things out. But he's also not the only receiver that needs to step up in a big way. The whole room needs to have a better day across the board. Kevontae Turpin, Jalen Brooks. Then you've got Ryan Flanoy, a rookie draft pick that you can rely on heavily, Isaiah. How do those guys step up, and who out of that group is going to emerge here in Week 5?
I think all those guys have to step up in some form or fashion. I mean, that's not my attention is not necessarily going to that receiver group per se. Mine's mostly going towards Jake Ferguson. I think this is a game where Jake Ferguson can have 80-plus yards in the air. But in terms of that receiver room, I think it's you guys, like Turpin, that has to get going. They have to find a way to get him. He's an explosive guy. This team needs splash plays. They're not sustaining drives. In order to be a sustaining drive type of offense, you have to be able to run the ball effectively. Dallas hasn't shown that they can do that. So what do you need? Now I need to have these big splash plays. And if I'm not using the speed and agility of the players that I have, then I'm doing everybody a disservice. So some of these other guys got to step up and just, again, make those easy catches in between guys, hard catches. You're going to get hit. Catch the ball, get positive yards.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Big Dog, when you talk about Turpin as the guy that has to kind of step up in this situation. Because like you just mentioned, he's extremely explosive out there. He's one of those guys, if you just get the ball in his hand in some space, he can do some damage out there. Outside of CeeDee Lamb, he's the best yak receiver you have, or yards after catch. And I believe Tolbert can go out there and expose this Pittsburgh defense, whether it's getting the ball in his hands on screens, over the middle. He's one of those guys that can turn a short slant or a shallow from a 5-yard catch to a 25-yard gain. And those are the type of explosive plays you're going to need to move the chains in this type of situation. So for me, I'm looking for Turpin to step up and fill that wide receiver void.
You know, Turpin played well last week. He building up his confidence. Isaiah been talking about throw him the ball so he can build up his confidence. But Jalen Tolbert, I'm telling you, if we're going to move down this field like you talked about Isaiah earlier, it's going to be with Jalen Tolbert. And it's going to be a lot of sprinkle in with Ferguson. Yeah. That's how we're going to move down this field. And all of a sudden, we'll see CeeDee Lamb break loose for something real big.
Correct.
I like the way you put that, too, because when all these other guys are out, it's very quick to say, okay, no Brandon Cooks, that means it's Jalen Tolbert. No DeMarcus Lawrence, no Micah Parsons. That means Marshawn Nealon's got to take a step up. The fact of the matter is the stars have to take a step above, too. And CeeDee Lamb is one of those stars that has to play better today. He has yet to have a 100-yard receiving game here in 2024. Isaiah, if you're CeeDee Lamb, where does that next step come from? Is it possession? Is it production? Is it a little bit of everything?
Patience. The word for CeeDee Lamb today is patience. And the thing is, everybody's going to look at his pockets. And when I mean pockets, okay, that's a hood acronym for saying counting my money, okay? So everybody's going to be counting how much money he's gotten paid. And they're going to say, guys, get him the ball 14 times. Get him 15 targets. And that's the assumption. That's what you would like to do. But the reality is he has to approach this game and understand they are going to do everything they can to take me out this game. So what can I be? I could be the ultimate decoy. And everybody's going to say, well, he's getting paid multiple millions of dollars per game. You don't want him to be a decoy. Be the decoy so I can lay in the weeds. I want to be the doggone, I want to be the cheetah, I want to be the lion, I want to be the whatever little, Bengal tiger laying in the weeds in the high grass and let my other dudes eat and move the chains. And then when they get so focused on them, you forgot who I was, right? That's who you want CeeDee Lamb to be today. So don't get worried if you don't see him getting the rocket lottery, a lot of attempts. Let him be out there and just be calm and collected and then make them pay for it in a major way whenever his time comes.
What you said? You said patience, huh?
That's it.
All right, well, to me, I'm looking for consistency. All right, when you come out of CeeDee Lamb, we all understand why we looked at this guy as being one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League. It's because last year he was able to do that. He led the league in touchdown catches last year. I need that consistency, not just for a half or a first quarter here, maybe sprinkle a little bit in the third quarter. All 4 quarters, I need you to be that guy because you've proven to be able to do that. You got the bag, like Isaiah just mentioned. It's because you play on the football field. Give me some of that consistency that we were able to see last year.
I remember Mike Irvin first went through this transition like CD now. I'm the man. They're double teaming me. I remember Mike came to me and said, man, boy, I'm trying to figure out how to beat this double team. And then as the season went on, he said, you know what? You know how you beat this double team? Catch everything that the quarterback throws to you. Beat double coverage by catching the ball. And all the great receivers in the past, once they figure out, as long as I catch the ball, I can make some things happen. So when it's a pass and it's contested, you got to come up with it. When it's 3rd and 10, they throw it to you. You got to come up with it. Somehow, some way, you got to come up with it.
You've seen some of the best receivers, not only through NFL history, but even this season in the NFL, go through adversity, come out on the other side, and they've continued to play better football as the year has gone on. Jamar Chase is the first one that pops in my head, at least that's in that same category as CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee's going to have to step up in that second half. He's been one of the best receivers in football, but only through the first 2 quarters. It's into that second half. Can that offense continue to stay on track? And that's been the mindset for CeeDee this week as well. How does that offense get back to being one of the tops in the league?
Ultimately, the end of the goal is to execute, make routine plays, and do what we've been doing. Move the chain, stay above the 2.3, if you will. Obviously, they got a great defender out there in T.J. Watt, and account for him. Let him have a good day, and we should be fine.
How are the younger kids at your position you've been dealing with everything? Because obviously, you're going to play a lot more.
Just imposing that they have to step up. I mean, it's time. You're here for a reason, and come showcase your abilities. And unfortunately, we lost a brother this week, and who knows how long he's going to be out. But, yeah, it's time for them to step up, and I'm happy for them. Can't wait for them to go out there and showcase their abilities.
CD, how aware are you of the rivalry, the Cowboys-Steelers, how much it means to the fans and the iconic franchise?
I'm not too aware of it, quite honestly, but I've seen that they've played like 3 Super Bowls. We lost 2 and we won 1, but I'm excited to be a part of it, for sure.
So much history between these two storied franchises. Yes, the Cowboys and the Steelers only meet every 4 years between the NFC and the AFC scheduling. However, the 11th Super Bowl combined the only 2 franchises to ever meet each other in the Super Bowl on 3 different occasions, and 2 of the best storied franchises in not only football, but really in sports history. And we've got 2 of the best units represented here on Cowboys Pregame Live in football history. The Steel Curtain defense of the 70s with Mean Joe Green joining us here in studio. And, of course, the Great Wall of Dallas, Nate Newton, our very own as well. So, guys, it's an honor to have you guys sitting here together. And, Mean Joe, of course, you live in the Dallas area, but you're still a Steeler at heart. I can't help but notice you still keep up with the Pittsburgh Steelers. What's it like being a part of this rivalry and seeing another chapter unfold tonight?
Well, the best part is I don't have to go out and play. That's the best part. Another part is to be a fan of football like I am, to be able to watch good teams play one another.
Yeah, and Nate, you had a chance to be a part of those rivalries along the way as well. I mean, what does it mean to see these 2 franchises play against each other again?
It's always a good thing. I mean, when I see Mr. Green, man, I grew up watching him and, you know, Mean Joe and doing his thing, man, and then to come and play for the Cowboys, which I always rooted for the Cowboys as I was growing up in Orlando, Florida, and I hated the Steelers. So, because they always ruined my Super Bowls for me. So it's just a great thing to be a part of something that's fantastic like these 2 franchises. Yeah.
Now, Mean Joe, you guys never got the chance to go up against each other, but if you were going to try and get around Nate, how would you do it? How would you get around Nate Newton?
I would hope he would be like Nyland.
Yeah.
And I'd fake inside like I was going inside.
Yeah.
He'd jump at it. I'd walk right on by him.
Yeah.
You would do that.
Mr. Green, I'm going to tell you what, now when I seen you play ball is how vicious you was, I probably would have just opened up and let you go right over.
Troy? No, not for Troy, right?
No, for Jason.
Okay,
Garrett.
Good.
He could have had
that
Jason.
one's fine. So you don't think you could have blocked Mean Joe?
Man, I'm telling you, he was a different level, man. Sir, you are a Hall of Famer. This is when you had to earn the right to get in that Hall. Yeah. And you helped a lot of dudes by your play of that inside play that you had that was so vicious that it took 2 guys to always be on you. So you helped a lot of these guys. And so, but what did it mean for you to play the Dallas Cowboys? What for you coming from Texas, out of North Texas, what did it mean for you to have to play the Cowboys?
I better beat those guys if I want to come home.
Yeah?
Because I want to be able to get home and say, yeah.
For me to come and be able to play in a Super Bowl after y'all had demolished us, I mean, I wasn't around big time in the 72, but you were the man. So I used to watch you like, man, here go Mean Joe Green killing us, or Franco catching that, the immaculate reception. And bro, it seemed like we always a little bit behind the Steelers. Whenever we get ready to play the Steelers, whether it's up there or down here, it seems like we always a game behind, and we're going to try to even this up.
See, there's some gaps in there that you ain't remembering.
Right.
When I first started playing, this was in '69.
Yes, sir.
We had them up there at Pitt Stadium. I think Pitt probably seats 35. We had 1,500.
Wow.
In the stands and played in the mud. And I will never forget it. Walt Garrison was coming through on a lead, and I caught him out of my left eye.
Right.
And if I didn't jump, he'd have cut me in half.
Yeah.
They called him Hard Knock, man. That young man was tough. It was, Calvin Hill was also in the backfield.
Yes. I mean, so what you're saying is that the Cowboys was handling y'all early in your career?
You sure did.
Yeah.
Hey, we were, you guys were the class of the league.
Right.
He had been to the Super Bowl and won one, I think. And we were trying to catch up. We had never won more than 5 games in our conference.
So when did it turn around? When did this thing turn around for y'all?
It started to turn around in terms of wins and losses when we got Franco. That was 1972.
And so Franco was a big part of
big part of it. Big part. He came in and joined Terry Bradshaw, Jack Ham, and Andy Russell, Dwight White, and Fats Holmes, and myself. And then in 74, we got Lynn Swan, John Stallworth, Mike Webster, Jack Lambert.
You remember all these cats, man, and all the defensive guys. They harbored around you because you were the heart of that 3-4 defense.
Oh man,
am I correct?
No, we had some players. You know, I tell everyone all the time. I knew Franco before he became Franco.
Right.
I knew Terry Bradshaw before he became Terry Bradshaw.
Right.
Swan before he became Swan. Lambert before he, I don't know, Lambert probably always was crazy.
Right.
But the point is that I was the older guy and the elder guy in that group, so I knew them all when they came, and I saw how we matured, just like you've seen.
Yeah.
Grew up with guys that.
Yes. Troy, Emmett, Mike, and all of these guys. Yes.
Mean Joe Green joining us here in studio here for Cowboys pregame live. It's a historic matchup. We only thought we would go get one of the best to ever do it, Hall of Famer. And thank you so much for taking some time. And, of course, we've got Nate on the show all day, every day, but it's special having you in studio. Absolutely.
What was the nickname you had? You had a
The Kitchen.
The Kitchen, baby.
The Kitchen.
The Kitchen.
He still is that, too, as well. Let's go to Nicole Hutchison, who's catching up with one of the guys that the Cowboys hope can be one of the all-time greats, DeMarvion Overshown.
Well, Kyle, I think it's pretty cool how things have changed for this defense in a good way, of course, in just a short amount of time, because they went from being asked, how do you improve, to how do you repeat a season-best performance that they had in Week 4 against the Giants. And so I asked DeMarvion Overshown about it this week, and he said it's all about the trust. That's the word that's been used throughout the locker room this week, because the confidence is there. They have the tape to back it up, but now the trust is a little bit added.
Just knowing like all the hard stuff that we went through leading up to the season, the OTAs, off-season, training camp, knowing what we put in and what we put on tape is not who we are. That's not our identity. And so just watching film that week 2 and 3, it was tough on everybody. Like you can't say nobody played good. So watching that, feeling like that at practice, like man, it really feels like a team just like whooped us in our home stadium. Ooh. So it's like going into week 4, you know, hearing everything, knowing that, hey, we the Dallas Cowboys. Like no matter how our season going, like all eyes are on us, and it's up to us to choose like what we want people to see.
And I like what you said there. All eyes are on y'all, specifically though this week too, because you guys are without Michael Parsons, you guys are without DeMarcus Lawrence. How is the mindset of this defense, and has it changed at all?
We got to step up. We know we lost 2 big dogs, key dogs to our team, to our defense, and you know they counting on us to keep the ball rolling while they out. And I feel like you know we put together a great team, a great group of guys in order to fill their role. You know it's gonna be more people that's asked to do a little more, but I'm real confident in everybody that we got on our squad that I'm suiting up with, just knowing that you know we got some dogs.
2-2 in the season. September football, that's pretty much how it went. But when you look at the start of the season, you guys get the win in Week 1 over the Browns, and then kind of struggle and face some challenges the rest of the way. Ended on a high note, but now October football is kind of a whole different thing for you guys. And you start off with the Steelers, then you got the Detroit Lions, bye week, then the 49ers. How much pressure isn't on for you guys, if there's pressure at all, to avoid kind of that high start and then that kind of downward spiral?
We know, October football is basically, okay, September is out the way. We know people still trying to get a feel of, who they are as a team. And going into October, you really want to have, a semi sort of identity of what y'all going to be going forward. And we got some tough matchups coming up, and I'm that's going to put us on the scale of, okay, where are we at leading into November, more hard games. So basically going into October with the mindset of we got to get this one.
Yeah.
Each week we play, we got to get this one, we got to get this one. We got to keep the ball rolling so when they come back, like the train is moving. It's not us trying to play catch up, because as long as the season is, you get too far behind, now you're trying to play catch up.
DeMarvion Overshown will be one of the many defenders that Mike Zimmer and company want to play better against the run, including against Najee Harris. Of course, the former Alabama great hasn't been incredible the last couple of years, and he's still looking for his first touchdown of the 2024 campaign, but he's still effective as a runner, as is really the entirety of this team moving into week 5. Back with Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. By the way, Nate, great job with Mean Joe. That was
man,
cool.
I love him.
Really, really
Hall
cool.
of Famers, man.
That was a fun thing just to see. And I mean, he's seen some pretty good running games back in his day as well. He's talking about Walt Garrison running downhill. Isaiah, when it comes to this team and what Najee Harris and this running game does, what do they do best?
They're persistent. They're persistent, and they convert on third down. That's the most dangerous thing about this Pittsburgh offense. These guys aren't doing anything that's necessarily flashy. They're not even getting a lot of yards per carry. You saw it there, 3.4, whatever it is. These guys are averaging just over 3 yards per carry. So they're not necessarily lighting it up on the ground. They're not necessarily having big splash plays on the ground, but these guys are running the ball 35 times per game. So if you're running the ball 35 times per game, and that's an average. That's an average. That's against the average opponent through the first 3 games of the year, or 4 games of the year. So now all of a sudden you're coming to this game against the Dallas Cowboys that they put bad tape on the screen, and now you know that might be a weak point for them. They are going to test that all day long. Dallas, you have to go out there and shut it down early and often and discourage them from wanting to just continue to run the ball.
Yeah, you're going to have to hit this guy all 4 quarters. It just can't be, let me hit him in the first series and here and there, maybe a little bit in the second half. It's going to be an all 4-quarter battle. You just talked about a 3.4 yards a carry. That's a 3 yards in a cloud of dust. But what it does to a defense is it's going to wear you down over time. I mean, you're going to get eventually, 4th quarter comes around, this big body keeps hitting you. You're like, man, I'm a little shoulder sore a little bit. So you're going to have to bring your big boy pads. You're going to have to strap your chin straps up, especially in that front 7 to get this thing done and quick. But you got to make sure not only you handle him, but Fields going around the edge as well. It's not always going to be straight downhill at you. You got to read your keys when you come to this Pittsburgh Steelers rushing attack.
Understand this right here. They play to the strength of their team, and that's their defense. That's why they run it 35 times. They are giving Fields that ability to throw the ball, but it's just right outside the numbers, right at the sticks. So they're playing to the strength of their team, and that's their defense. So when they run that ball 35 times, but this bad film you're talking about, look at it be more 45 times. If this kid feels so more than 20 times, they may lose the game.
Yeah, so what Nate's talking about right now is the dink and dunk, okay? That's what you would typically kind of refer to it as. This is a West Coast type of offense that Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator, has instilled here in Pittsburgh. If you guys remember who Arthur Smith is, he's a guy who was running the offense for Lamar Jackson, okay, some years back. So he is a guy who is putting Justin Fields in a position of success to take easy plays, easy reads, and his job is to create short down and distances, which is why they're facing these 3rd and 3s a lot of time, and they're able to convert those things and can stay on the field.
Every time I look at this helmet back here, it just reminds me of the bus. It reminds me of Le'Veon Bell.
No, they're not that.
It reminds me of that. That's not what this team is. And part of the reason why is because they don't have Ben Roethlisberger throwing the football. They've got Justin Fields throwing it around, and he's having a career year at the quarterback position. He's been fantastic. Look at his ranks throughout his career. Passer rating, touchdown to interception ratio, passing yards per game. It doesn't matter what it is. He is having his best season by far. He's 4-2 in his last 6 starts after he was 9-21 in his previous 30 starts. I mean, it really isn't even close what he's been doing. Barry, when a quarterback's playing like this, how much does that challenge a defense like Mike Zimmer?
Well, it does challenge the defense because what he's not doing is he's not turning the football over. So he's playing consistent ball out there. But that's why, to me, it's imperative that this defense wins 1st and 2nd down. You've got to force this team to be in long situations when you talk about 3rd down. Got to be the 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 10s. It can't be the 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 4s where he can use his legs or he can just dump something off real quick and they can move the chains. You got to win 1st and 2nd down and force this guy into passing situations. That's where I feel like you can have the advantage defensively.
And I think this plays more into our defensive backs, man. Guys like Diggs.
Yeah.
They love the short passing game. They take a chance to jump stuff. So if we make sure we have this run game solid and stop, all of a sudden that short game that they're trying to take advantage of, we can move these safeties up and we can jump some things.
I hope they could jump it. If I was the Dallas Cowboys right now in pregame, I'll be playing Michael Jackson, Remember the Time. You know the reason why I'd be playing Remember the Time? Because I want Justin Fields to remember the time when he used to turn the ball over, right? So you guys have to go out there and, like my boy BC said, get these guys into long down the distance situations and get them out of their game plan where they want to just have 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and they're okay with that because they are okay with that. But if you put them in a second and long, you put them in a third and long, now you're putting it in the hands of Justin Fields. Now you're asking him to throw the ball 10 to 15 yards down the field. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to be precise. He is being so strategic about where he's putting the ball at. He's getting the ball to the tight ends. He's getting it out to the flats. When you can't do that when you need to get 10 yards a pop. So he's got to put it down the field a little bit, and he is uncomfortable with that because if he gets those tips and overthrows, Dallas Cowboys got to get those, and Russell Wilson's going to be over there licking his chops.
Oh, not Russ.
Yeah.
No, he's in the wings.
Absolutely.
He's just waiting on things to happen.
Pop off.
There's ways for this team to have success against that rushing attack, and they did so last week. 26 yards against the Giants. That was a good step in the right direction. But they're going to need everyone to step up on that defense, especially without Micah Parsons, without DeMarcus Lawrence. Trayvon Diggs talked a little bit about that and how much it is going to really stretch this defense thin and how they're going to all have to go their alignment and their assignment.
Yeah, definitely those guys are definitely going to be missed this week. The younger guys are going to have to step up, and, we're going to have to play even more of a unit to get the job done.
Trayvon, you guys split in September 2-2. The importance of getting off to a strong start in October to end above 500 by the end of it.
Yeah, of course. We want to win every game, so we got to start to get it rolling and start picking up our momentum and getting these wins put together.
I don't know how much of Justin Fields' film you saw in Chicago, but as you're studying him in Pittsburgh, what are some of the challenges you see from him?
Of course, he's a running quarterback, so it's always challenges that come with that. He can make the throws. He got good receivers to throw to, so, we have to be on our game.
How does what you guys do without Micah and Tank look different?
It shouldn't look different. Everybody should be able to play the same calls. Should be able to do everything that they can do as well. Like I said, the young guys will have to step up and, play together.
What allows you guys to not have to be different?
Just the call itself in general. Like, if you have a play call, are you going to play the call different because there's different people in there, or are you going to play the call that's called?
So Trayvon Diggs outlining that on the defensive side of the football, it doesn't matter what the personnel is. You have to do your job. Isaiah Stanback knows that better than anybody. He played for Bill Belichick, who had that DYJ mentality, and it goes for both sides of the football, not only defensively for the Cowboys today without Micah, without D-Law, but on the offensive side. And they're going to play a team in Pittsburgh today that likes to run cover two, just like Baltimore did a couple weeks ago. What is cover two? Let's start there.
Yeah.
Tell me, what is it supposed to do at the NFL level, and why does Pittsburgh like to run it?
Yeah, well, cover two is like our friend Barry Church's favorite coverage. The reason why is because it allows for those guys to sit over the top and prevent the down-the-field plays. It makes sure that you have help underneath, and then you sit the big boys over the top to ensure that everything stays in front of you. What else does cover two do? Well, it restricts the passing lanes for all those underneath type of throws, those easy down and distance, move the marker type of plays. It takes that away from it. So we're going to break it down for you so help you guys understand a little bit more. So when you see it in the game, you guys can speak to it. Here we go. Let's take a look at it. Okay, so cover two, right off the bat. 5 guys underneath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's the reason why that's so difficult is because, again, we talk about these passing lanes. It is very difficult to try to find these seams in here. It's hard. They got all kinds of bodies in here. Those are your passing lanes that you have to try to get guys through. What else is good about cover two? Well, you have these guys back here that are the safeties. They are responsible for staying over the top. So you have the help underneath with these corners that are going to come up and put hands on you, and then you have these safeties that are going to then go over the top, and you have a guy that's coming underneath. So usually you have this little triangle offense right here of these small windows of opportunity. So typically that's, for the most part, what it is. You have a flat defender, hook, right here to the middle, another hook, flat, safety, safety. That's the responsibilities of these guys, making it tough on the offenses to find holes.
So let's talk about the offensive personnel grouping, because the Cowboys, out of any other team in the NFL, they're top 10 in terms of running 11 personnel. That means 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers. So that's what our personnel grouping in the backfield is here. How can you beat a cover 2 when it comes to 11 personnel?
Well, there's many ways that you could beat it. First of all, though, you have to try to get past that first level of defenders. Talk about those 5 defenders underneath, and you have to try to put some stress on those safeties, okay? Those safeties have a communication issue that they have to figure out. If you can get 2 guys up on 1 safety, now all of a sudden they have to figure out who's responsible for what. So I'm going to drop a couple plays here that put some stress on those safeties. First of all, we got 88 down here at the bottom of the screen. I'm going to have him come up here, and we're going to run a nice little in route, okay? Around about anywhere from 15 to 18 yards. Right underneath him, we're going to use Kevontae Turpin's speed to get over those linebackers and get him across and try to put some stress on that safety. Back in New England, we had an option to do that as well, right? So he has an option to get over here and try to get to this far side safety, and then if these guys want to overplay it, he can go up the seam right there. Right here in the backfield, okay, we're going to run what we call a nice little, we call it an arrow route. So he's going to check here, and then he's going to run an arrow right underneath. Now, who's that putting the stress on? This will linebacker right here. He has to make some decisions. Is he going to fall back and try to get a hand on this guy on Turpin, or is he going to go ahead and guard this underneath? Okay, on the backside, all right, we're going to go over here to Mr. Ferguson. Mr. Ferguson is going to run a corner route. We talk about getting an outside release and then putting the stress on who? Again, that safety. You always want to try to get 2 guys to put stress on 1 man. And then on the outside, we're going to have Jalen Tolbert go up here, and he's going to run a comeback. You don't run a comeback versus a press 2, so he'll just end up converting this thing into a go route. So where's all the stress points? Well, the stress points are obviously going to be right here. He has to make a decision if he's going to be able to come up here and jump this, or if he wants to take this over route. If he takes the over, you hit the end. If he takes the end, you have the over, and you have that seam right here in the middle. This safety right here, are you going to take this guy, or are you going to take this guy? So you're putting these safeties in a real bind, and then you're getting behind who? You're getting behind these guys right here. You have to get beyond those defenders in order to affect the play.
That's ultimately what Dak Prescott has to see, is which one of those options is open, go through the progressions and see if these safeties are like Barry Church and they can handle multiple things at the same time, or if they only have one thing, a one-track mind. Moving to 12 personnel. Now we're using 2 tight ends, 1 running back, 2 tight ends and 12 personnel. You got Jake Ferguson and Luke Schoonmaker. How can you use the heavier package to get it done?
Yeah, so on that particular play, the stars of the show were Kevontae Turpin on that over route, and you had CeeDee Lamb on the backside, right? So those are the guys that are putting stress on the safety. On this particular play, I'm going to have CD. All right, CD's going to come up again and run that same thing because, again, you want to put that stress on the safety. Okay, but right here, all right, we're going to have Schoonmaker. He's going to come up and run a hook route right underneath. Again, so we're making this linebacker really stretch himself out, right? He has a lot of different responsibilities, and that same guy is responsible for this swing route over here on the bottom side, okay, with Rico Dowdle. Now, the star of the show in this particular play is going to be Mr. Jake Ferguson. We got to get him going, okay? So we're going to give him a little nod, and he's going to go to the safety. Or in New England, we had the option to do either. Okay, so he can really make the best decision for him. So if the safety, whatever decision the safety makes, he can be wrong. He wants to take the post, I go to the corner. You want to take the corner, I go to the post. Okay, so he has a 2-way go. He should always be open at all times. And then we're going to go up here and run a hook as well. Now, again, we talk about what are the stress points for this defense. Well, right here, this will linebacker, you got to make a decision. Do I want to bump out here and try to get out to the flat, or do I want to sit right here and take that away? Well, if you take this away, it's called a high-low. You come here, I go right behind you. If you sink too much, I come right underneath you there. Perfect. Right here, the safeties are okay. Or we talk about the option here. If you choose that way, you're wrong. If you choose that way, you're wrong. This is just here just in case a window of opportunity pops open. But that, again, is a great way to put stress on this defense.
You've got 2 check down options, one with Tolbert, one with Schoonmaker.
Correct.
We've seen it so many times. Dak Prescott loves the seam work with Jake Ferguson up that right hash mark. He's been fantastic throughout his career at doing so. If you want to learn more about cover 2, some of these other coverages, be sure to check out Isaiah Stanback's film room throughout the week on DallasCowboys.com and the various streaming platforms. He outlines a whole lot of knowledge to make you the smartest person in the room. Of course, going out to Pittsburgh today, it's the spot where Ezekiel Elliott had some success back in 2016. Can he find some of that impact again after he had over 200 yards against the Steelers last time he was in the Steel City? It's also going to be a tough test for T.J. Watt against Terrence Steele. Steele's already seen some of the best edge rushers in football. How does he stand up against the multi-sack leader in the NFL? And then Dak Prescott. He said earlier in the week that injuries, they play an impact but it does not allow for excuses. This is a chance for some of those young guys to step up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is an opportunity to show the depth of this team, what we're made of. Young guys, as we talk about it, you're going to have to count on them late in the year, that you got to count on them now. Yeah, that's the NFL. I mean, honestly, it's how I got my job. It's how a lot of people have stepped in and gotten their job. Tyler Smith, right? That, like, when your number's called, jump in. Show that you belong here, show that you can prepare the right way. You make the most of your opportunity. I think we've got young guys to be able to do that. And whether it's holding it down or making a name for themselves, I think that we can, for one, get the identity set of this team, and one, just being fighters, one, relentless in what we do. Second, or I guess third, or whatever you want to put it in, maybe even first, just detailed and like that it doesn't matter who we put in, that we're going to play hard, we're going to give you our best, super, super detailed, and we're coming to win.
Well, we talked to one member of the Steel Curtain back in the 70s. This may not be the same level of dominance. However, this defense for the Steelers has played really well over the first 4 weeks of the year. Second in the NFL in points per game. I mentioned that stat earlier in the show, just 26 points through their first 3 games, and they really haven't done so in one particular way. They've slowed down the pass, they've slowed down the run, they've done a little bit of everything well. As guys, we look at this matchup with Dak Prescott, he's going to be pushed in a new way this week than he has all season long. What does that do for an offense?
Well, to me, when you talk about Dak Prescott and his offense, what he has got to do is to remain himself, all right? He's been doing a great job so far this season, not turning the football over, not putting the football in harm's way, and even with the lack of a consistent run game, he's elevating the players around him on the outside, not just his game, all right? But what I love to see this offense step up is in the red zone. Right now, they're 16th in the National Football League in scoring, red zone scoring. They have to convert some of those field goal attempts, and I know Aubrey's a weapon, but you're going to have to convert some of those field goal attempts to touchdowns. Last time I checked, 7 is more than 3. You got to capitalize when you get to the red zone.
That boy doing math. Hey, listen, what he said is absolutely correct in terms of Dak's trying to stay within himself, but it's easier said than done, especially when you're really reverted to having 2 weapons out there. Okay, you have CeeDee Lamb that you trust in, you have Jake Ferguson that you trust in. Those are the guys that you know are tried and true. You don't have to think about what you're doing when you're getting those guys the ball. Now, on the other hand, when you're trying to get the ball into the hands of these unproven receivers, that's when you start getting outside of yourself. That's when you start trying to force it into certain zone coverages and try to make something happen. The reality is this running game is hurting Dak's production. If you don't have a running game, then Dak is going to be forced in games like this to throw the ball 40+ times a game. You can expect that today if the Dallas Cowboys can't get this thing going on the ground.
Okay, so if you can't run the football, then it's not going to set up play action. And that's really when Dak is at his best, is when you have some play action to throw off the second level of that defense. This defense is without Alex Highsmith, which is a huge loss for them moving forward, Nate. How do they try and combat that lack of play action by just working their way down the field with these weapons?
You still have to run the ball. Everybody say don't run the ball. You running into this brick wall. They average 86, giving up 86 yards a game, but you still have to run the ball. You have to run at least 30 times this game. Because still, our right tackle who will be going against TJ Watt, this guy's a play-action pass guy. Our tackle is a play-action pass guy. That means he has to put his hands on a guy early in the game so he can have confidence. So we're going to have to run the ball regardless of what people think.
That's a great point, and TJ Watt is such a problem. Look at what he's done throughout his year. I mean, if he has even a half of a sack tonight, he's got an opportunity to hit 100 on his career, and he's doing so very quickly. Of course, TJ holds a little bit of extra grit against the Cowboys because they had a chance to draft him back in his NFL draft days.
Not another one of those guys.
It hurts every time I think about it. They didn't end up drafting him. They went a different direction.
Oh, we know.
Yeah, and it didn't work out well for him. But with that all being said, he's great at what he does, Isaiah. If you were a quarterback like Dak Prescott in this occasion, and an offensive line going up against a talent like that, how do you slow him down?
You do the same thing that you did in week 1 against Myles Garrett.
Okay.
The only difference is Myles Garrett was on your backside against Tyler Guyton, right? So he was protecting your backside. Now, as a former quarterback, when you have somebody that's in front of you, it's a positive because I can see exactly where TJ Watt's at. He's not hitting me from the blind side. He's going to be lined up over Terrence Steele for as many times the Dallas Cowboys want to draw back and throw the ball. And the biggest thing with him is he is relentless, okay? I'm not talking about everything outside of his skill set. Whenever you face somebody, and Nate can attest to this more than anybody, whenever you face somebody that you know you're going to get there 100%, 100% every single play, those are the guys that you hate to play against.
Yeah, I mean, I played with some of the best pass rushers in the National Football League. DeMarcus Ware, Calais Campbell, and what they've all said about what they hate is when people run at them or they use a lot of screen game. All right, you got to get these guys thinking out there to slow that pass rush down. But overall, I mean, T.J. Watt, he's going to be a problem in this game. He's going to be a problem.
He's the ultimate horse. He's smart. He's relentless, like this guy's talked about. He's a run stopper. He's a MVP player that's sitting over there. Run at him all the time.
Got to get the run game going. And they're going to do so with only two guys in the backfield, Rico Dowdle, Ezekiel Elliott. Of course, they do have Hunter Lipke that could get in there as well.
Boogie.
But they decided to put Deuce Vaughn on the inactive list today. Let's go back out to Pittsburgh. Nick Eatman now is joined by Cowboys COO Stephen Jones.
Thank you, Kyle, and I'm joined again by Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer here down on the field in Pittsburgh. And before we get started, I have to say it's already going to be a great football weekend. Let's see if we can make it perfect, though. But Saturday night, it's hard to beat, huh?
Hard to beat those Razorbacks doing well. A little biased when it comes to
a little bit. Me too.
Zooey,
Me too. Yeah, that was good. What needs to happen for your team to get another win like that tonight?
Well, I think we've got to come out right away and play the run like we did last week. It's going to be real important. Obviously, these guys are committed to running it, and so that's going to be a key part of this football game. And the flip side of that is we need to run the ball well. But obviously, Coach Tomlin's one of the longest tenured head coaches in this league for a reason. He's always got his teams well prepared, ready to go, and this is going to be a challenge tonight, but one we're up for.
And weather could be a factor here a little bit. I know the team was working on wet ball drills and things like that. Might get a thunderstorm here. Is that just kind of adds to this kind of game, just going to be tough and gritty and that type of old school football?
That's just how it works. I mean, when you go and play the AFC North, that's what you're going to get. And, our guys are prepared for that. I know Coach Zim's had a great week with our guys, and certainly I think he's got Nealon and all those guys and Chauncey and that crew ready to go and get something from T. Wheat and Lawson. I think we'll be just fine.
Yeah, this is like you said, not having a Micah Parsons or Tank Lawrence for this game. Tank on IR, Micah definitely not for this game, but still, those guys that you mentioned, you're hoping for the juice out of them. Could maybe an overshown also help you do different packages?
Well, there's no question. Obviously, Mike's going to use some scheme here tonight, too, to help us get pressure when we need to, but there's no question these guys want to come in here and run the football, and but have a lot of confidence. Then we'll have the guys ready with some good pressure packages as well.
Obviously, CD got the big contract, Dak got the big contract, but there's a lot more than that. It's a team game. It needs everybody. Who are the guys at receiver that you're hoping to make that leap today with Brandon Cooks out?
Well, I think, first of all, Turpin does a lot of what Cooks is. He brings that juice to the dance. He's not the biggest receiver, but he certainly can make big plays for us. And then it's going to be great to get Flournoy a chance out there, and certainly Brooks is going to get more action. So we're really confident in our group of receivers that we'll be just fine.
Last one for me, Tyler Guyton. He had kind of a rough game this last one against the Giants, though. Big matchup, obviously. He'll see some T.J. Watt. What needs to happen with him, and what is your confidence level with Guyton?
Well, we've got great confidence in Guyton, and he's a rookie, so you just got to every now and then we'll give him a little help, a little chipping, and he's going against one of the best rushers in the business in T.J. Watt. But we have a lot of confidence in this offensive line group.
Well, we appreciate you stopping by like always. I know there's a lot of people to see here on the sidelines. Stephen Jones, thanks for joining us here. That's Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. Kyle, we'll throw it back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Nick. Back here with Barry, Isaiah, Nate. Let's take a look at our Call Your Shot standings. Every week we give our bold predictions on how things will turn out. And look who's up there at the top, gentlemen. Doubling everybody up. You've got Barry and Nate sitting in that 3 spot. And then lowly Isaiah got his 1 point last week and then goes right back down.
Hey, I'm a gentleman, man. I just let everybody else go in front of me. You know what I'm saying? That's all that is.
Well, you've got to go first, so let it happen.
Listen up, man. I'm wagering 1 point because I'm playing like down debt like the rest of the Americans in the world. Listen up. Listen, I'm going with Dak Prescott. Is going to throw the ball 40 times today. Okay, I've got 1 point on that. I almost guarantee he's going to throw the ball unless we get this running game going.
Yeah, I'm going to go 1 point as well. And one of the receivers that I hope Dak Prescott throws the ball to is Jalen Tolbert. I need him to go for at least 60 yards. I would love it if it happened in one attempt. That'd be great. But I need my points. Come on, Tolbert. Come through for your boy.
8 targets for my boy Jay Fergie. I almost went like 4 points on that, but I ain't got 3, so I gave up 1. Yeah,
so
Fergie.
You got
yeah.
1 point back.
Yeah.
You guys are fighting for that second place spot. Well, guess what? I'm going to give you an opportunity to catch me if I get it wrong. But if I get it right, I'm skyrocketing it right up there to the 9-point mark. I'm wagering 3 points on the board this week. And I'm saying Terrence Steele does his job. I'm saying T.J. Watt does not get a sack today. He is not having a sack. No way, no how. Terrence Steele's going to lock him up. Seatbelt Carson's out. It's going to be seatbelt Terrence Steele. He's going to control T.J. Watt, and this game plan is going to keep him at bay as the game goes along.
He better have a 5-point harness then.
Parachute and everything.
A lot of confidence.
Top Gun all the way.
I love it. I love it. Guys, hope you had some fun with us here on Cowboys Pregame Live today. We'll be back postgame with Cowboys Game Night and the First Word presented by Dr. Pepper as well. For Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans, Nicole Hutchison, Nick Eatman as well. We say goodbye as the Cowboys cheerleaders take to the Miller Lighthouse and the watch party out at AT&T Stadium. Cowboys Steelers from Acrisure Stadium, Sunday Night Football on NBC.